Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of me predicting NFL quarterback statistics. In this part, we will be doing the AFC portion. If you missed Monday's video, that was the NFC portion. And before we hop right into this video, just don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. And heads up, there is a Jason Tatum free square for the finals. All he needs to do is score 1 point for the entry to win. So take advantage, but always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. So kicking off this video with the AFC North, we will begin with Russell Wilson, the guy who I do believe will remain the starter throughout the season. This year I have Russ throwing for 3,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 picks. If you guys don't know, I'm a Russ believer. I have never blamed him for even a second as to what was going on in Denver, and I believe with proper coaching and a good offense, he can be just as good as anybody. However, he is getting older, he's gonna be brand new on that offense, and I don't think they have the best receiving room in the league either, so I don't think his numbers will be that high. Now moving on, we have come on, Wyatt, come on. Deshaun Watson. Sorry, Browns fans, but I can't drink the Kool-Aid on him this year. I gotta see it to believe it. If you're asking me, I think he is just going to have probably the most average year a quarterback could have. I have Watson throwing for 3,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 12 picks, and I think it's just gonna be a very up and down roller coaster for him, kind of like how it was before he got injured last year. At least that's how I saw it. He would make a terrible play, then a decent one, then a horrible one. He's cooked, dude. He's fried. Now moving on, we have Joe Burrow. I think Joey B is gonna pass for 4,300 yards, throw for 32 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Look, if Joe is healthy, he's a 4,000-yard passer night and day, not to mention he has 2 elite receivers that he's throwing to. And please don't get offended by the 13 interceptions that I have him at, because he is a risk taker. He does throw picks, and that's not a bad thing at all. Matter of fact, if he wasn't a risk taker, I don't think he would be nearly as good of a quarterback as he is. Just gotta hope he stays healthy. And ending the AFC North, we have Lamar Jackson. I think he throws for 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 picks, and the rushing guesstimate of 500 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Look, I think his passing yards and touchdowns are both going to go down simply due to the fact that Derrick Henry is now on that team. They're going to have a run game. If I see one fucking comment saying, "Why do you hate Baltimore?" I'm going to lose my shit. Now moving on to the AFC South, we will begin with Trevor Lawrence. I actually think Trevor is going to have a pretty solid year. I have him throwing for 4,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. 2 things about Trevor. 1, he's a gunslinger. 2, he's a risk taker. That's kind of who he is. And to think that he's not going to be able to throw without Calvin Ridley, well, go look at what he did 2 years ago, because he was actually better without Calvin Ridley. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with the injury he suffered last year, but he's got an offense full of players who have hands. And the fact that I don't think that team is going to do all that great this year tells me that they're going to be behind a lot, which tells me that he is also going to be throwing for that reason alone. Trevor isn't done. Do not give up. After Trevor, we've got Anthony Richardson. I got AR throwing for 3,100 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 picks, and running for, I'm gonna go 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. He'll be good, at least he should be. I see no reason against that. The only one argument I have against AR is that I've barely gotten to see him play in the NFL. Now, he didn't look bad, but he got hurt almost immediately. And I don't mean to add pressure on the guy, but like, the offense literally falls on his shoulders. Like, if he's good, they're gonna be good. If he's bad, they're gonna stink. That'll bring us to CJ Stroud. I got CJ passing for 4,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 picks. I also have CJ as my NFL passing leader this year. I think that's a little bit of a better take than Derek Carr last year. Seriously though, his offense took a massive step up. They have the best receiving room in the league. I expect him to be airing it out with confidence, but I also expect the turnovers to take a slight step up, but nothing like too humiliating. And CJ is gonna have like an MVP caliber year. I do want to say I love CJ, but have you guys seen his interviews lately, like this offseason? The guy's kind of got a big head now. I don't mind a little swagger, but like some of the times it's just sounding flat out arrogant. Anyway, I still love the guy. And ending, we have Will Levis. It's another example of if he's good, the offense will be good. If he's bad, the offense is going to stink. But I think Will is actually going to be pretty damn good. And I have him throwing for 4,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 12 picks. We can't expect him to just go out and be flawless. But with what we saw out of him last year and the improvement that the offense made, especially with the O-line in the draft, you got to believe that if he has time, he is going to light it up like a jack-o'-lantern. Like I said, man, I was a Will hater, but now I am a massive Will supporter. That'll bring us to the AFC West, where we will start with Patrick Mahomes. 4,400 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He's gonna have a pretty Mahomey year. I will never say that again. Realistically though, why would we say he's gonna regress? He essentially has the same team, maybe without Rashee Rice, but now with the addition of Hollywood Brown. They have Xavier Worthy, who I expect to pretty much fall out of the lineup by week 6, but I see no reason to believe Mahomes is gonna be held back at all. He has yet to ever be held back with this team. And for those wondering why I'm so down on Xavier Worthy, go look at what happened to all the fastest receivers who have ever ran at the combine, because you're going to see a lot of names like Marquise Goodwin and John Ross. There is literally one receiver like this in every single draft class. Gets drafted insanely early because of his speed and has nothing else to offer. And up next, we have Bo Nix, and I actually have him having like a decent year, kind of like a Daniel Jones decent year. 3,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. Look, I don't think he has any reason to go out there and act crazy. He has no reason to go out there and feel like his job is in jeopardy. I think he'll make a few mistakes as a rookie, but all in all, he's gonna play pretty cautiously, pretty conservatively. He's gonna make plays when he sees them, and he's gonna hold the ball when he has to. Like, I just see Bo Nix being more of a get comfortable, do your best kind of experiment for this year. And up next, we have Gardner Minshew. Yes, Gardner Minshew. I wouldn't even fucking consider starting Aiden O'Connell if I was the Raiders. And I have a hot take. He is going to throw for 4,000 yards this season. Only 23 touchdowns and 11 picks, but he will hit 4,000 passing yards, man. With that room, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and you got to assume the brand new tight end Brock Bowers is going to get a ton of volume right away, because why the fuck else would they have picked him? Gardner is going to be slinging it, and that's the thing about Gardner too. He's a dog. He's not scared to throw it. If they tell him to throw the ball, he's going to go out there and throw the ball. He is by no means the best quarterback in the league, but they get so much worse than Gardner Minshew. I don't think people actually realize it. And ending, we have Justin Herbert. I have him throwing for 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 picks. For Herbert, I have him playing pretty conservative. I have him seeing that there's no reason for him to go out there and act ballistic or do anything insane or try and force anything. He's going to be playing on damn near a brand new offense as far as weapons go. The coach is going to be new, even though I know he's a college legend. I see it being a good but kind of slow season for Herbert compared to what we're used to. And ending with the AFC East, we'll begin with Josh Allen. I have him throwing for 4,200 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 14 picks. Yeah, Josh will always throw his picks, but Josh is also always going to be throwing drives down in games that single-handedly get you the win and make you completely forget that the interception ever even happened. Also in the red zone, his legs will always remain Weapon X. I have him at 700 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. But even looking back at the passing, I don't think this regression without Stephon Diggs is going to happen that a lot of haters are hoping to see. I just think we're going to see a lot more Dalton Kincaid and a larger variety of receivers than we've seen in recent years. If you're asking me, Josh is going to have another very good year, and it's going to have a lot less to do with the fact that he has help and more to do with the fact that he is Josh fucking Allen. And that'll bring us to Tua. I actually have Tua throwing for 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 picks. With that receiving room, I don't ever see him having a bad year. And the reality behind Tua is that Tua is a very good quarterback. I know some people are going to cringe. It's the truth. But it's also the truth, and I've said this a million times, that the guy is extremely limited. He's going to be one of those guys that at the end of his career, you look at his numbers and you're like, holy shit, was he really good? And then you're going to have to look at any game that was in cold weather against a winning team or in the playoffs, and you're going to go, oh. It's just reality, bro. After Tua, we have Drake May. Yes, Drake May. I know Jacoby is slated to be the starter, but I just think Drake will win the job. I like to think he will anyway. That would at least make the Patriots a little entertaining to me. But if he does in fact win the job, I have Drake May throwing for 3,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 picks. Pretty Bo Nixy from him, and kind of basically what I said about Bo Nix. Drake has no reason to feel like he has a gun to the back of his head. He has no reason to feel like he's on the hot seat right now. You're in a tough division on a rebuilding team. Get your feet wet. Try and get comfortable, and worry more about making these crazy plays when your team actually has something to play for. And ending, we have Aaron Rodgers. I have Rodgers throwing for 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 picks. Again, like what I said about Kirk, basically mimicking it. It's not like Aaron was ever mobile to begin with, but I don't see him having basically any mobility this year. He's going to sit in the pocket where he's best and light up his targets where he's protected. The only reality about Aaron is that the guy hasn't played a full season in 2 years. He's still going to be on a roster that he's probably not going to be very familiar with, especially in game. And the guy is just getting old, man. Like, look at him. He looks like a fucking old man. He ain't gonna have the zip, he ain't gonna have the cannon he once had, but he is gonna have the brain, and he will elevate the Jets, unfortunately, to a height that I don't think they've been at in a considerable amount of time. Unfortunately. And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for me predicting quarterback stats for the AFC and the entire league now at this point. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, you already know what to do to show support, and let me know in the comments where you guys differ. However, with everything said, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and as always, I will see you in the next video.